Hello, everybody. Sorry I am late. Oh my goodness. I am, I am, sorry I'm late. Today is Saturday, March the 15th, 2025. Sorry, guys. Just been getting a little bit more and more sick. I don't know what's going on. I kind of got a little bit of a breather day yesterday where I was kind of okay during the day. I went to work but now I'm like coughing more. I'm sneezing way more. I apologize. I was sleeping honestly a lot of the morning and this afternoon. I just been kind of in bed, not doing too much, just because I've been sick. Okay, but we are back here. I appreciate you guys joining me here. Welcome back. Mahan, I'm not sure how to. I don't know how to solve it. That's all I've got so far. So I've got to think more about it. I haven't given it the brain power yet. I was hoping today we could accomplish a lot of getting our project done. I think it'd be good for us to sit down and really grind out another session of bug debugging on our project. We made a good session last time. Let me go ahead and let's get some. There we go. Here we go. Let's get some. So last time, right, we wrote this debugging graph here, just on some basic functions and statistics that's supposed to be, changing based upon these function calls, and we weren't getting the desired outcomes we were hoping for. So we're going to go visit this program again and take another stab at getting these fixed up. We did it last time. We did do some debugging. We were able to solve some issues, but we need to come at it again. I have not taken any meds, no. I am just completely like the sickness is really making me all foggy and very I don't know. It's not like super physical. Like I'm able to move around, but it's more like mental and like in my up here. I don't know. Hey, AJ Brady, welcome in. Mahana, obviously, welcome in. Tim, how's it going? I appreciate you guys for being here again. Don Soap. Oh. Yeah, so I'm a little bit, I just woke up, honestly, so I slept from about, 2 o'clock until now, so so that's why I'm late, is my alarm, I slept right through it, so I gotta wake up here. I know, my brain's all foggy, so hopefully we're able to be efficient here with some programming. But I'll definitely. We just gotta get warmed up. I feel once we get warmed up and awake, we'll do better. So I appreciate you guys for being me. What you guys been studying? How's you guys' Saturdays been going? I really appreciate you guys all for being here and hanging out with me again. Let me know what you guys are working on and studying. What kind of projects have you guys been going on? Let me know more about you if you're new here. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive right on in. So we're gosh, this book is just this book is the death of me. It's just getting more and more difficult. It's just so dense. So dense. Okay. Let's keep on going here. Load factors, rehashing, and efficiency, right? So, in the hash table schemes described thus far, it is important that the load factor, right, lambda, is the number of items divided by the number of available buckets in the hash map, be kept below 1 with separate chaining as lambda gets very close to 1. The probability of a collision greatly increases, which adds overhead to our operations. Since we must revert to linear time-based lists, methods, and buckets that have collisions, the probability of a collision greatly increases, which adds overhead to our operations. Since we must revert to linear time list-based methods in buckets that have collisions, experiments and average case analysis suggest that we should maintain a lambda less than 0.9 for hash tables with separate chaining. With open addressing, on the other hand, as the load factor grows beyond 0.5 and starts approaching 1, clusters of entries in the bucket array starts to grow as well. These clusters cause the probing strategies to bounce around the bucket array for a considerable amount of time before they find an empty slot. In exercise C1036, we explore the degradation of quadratic probing when the lambda or the load factor is greater than or equal to 0.5. Experiments suggest that we should maintain a lambda less than 0.5 for open addressing schemes with linear probing, and perhaps only a bit higher for other open addressing schemes. For example, Python's implementation of open addressing enforces that lambda is less than 2/3. How's it going? Hey, Wing On, welcome in. Welcome back. Appreciate you for being here. All right. Hey, Johan, how's it going? Welcome back in, you guys. Okay. If an insertion causes the load factor of a hash table to go above the specified threshold, then it is common to resize the table. Okay, so let's talk about, it's talking about load factors in open addressing versus separate chaining. Open addressing. Load factor and load factor in separate chaining versus what was it? Open addressing. Okay, so in here we're gonna say the load factor with separate chaining as the load factor approaches 1, the probability of a collision greatly increases. Right. Right, as a result, we revert to linear based time methods, lists, to store value, lists slash linked list, right? Okay, linear based time methods to chain the collisions to together within the bucket, right? And then with open addressing, as the load factor approaches 1, as the load factor approaches beyond 0.5, factor grows beyond 0.5 and approaches 1, cluster entries start to grow within the right? Oh boy. It is recommended to maintain a load factor less than 0.5. Sorry, guys. Oh boy, I'm getting wrecked over here. Okay. If insertion causes the load factor of a hash table to go above the specified threshold, then it is common to resize the table to again the specified load factor. To regain the specified load factor and to reinsert all objects into this new table. Although we need not define a new hash code for each object, we do need to reapply a new compression function that takes into consideration the size of the new table. Each rehashing will generally scatter the items throughout the new bucket array. When rehashing to a new table, it is a good requirement for the new array size to be at least double the previous size. Indeed, we always double the size of the table with each rehashing operations, then we can amortize the cost of rehashing all the entries in the table against the time used to insert them in the first place. Okay, so let's talk about here rehashing. Did you have any storms yesterday, Mike? I don't know. I think it was just pretty rainy. I'm not sure if there was really stormy though. Usually we get some pretty bad winds here, and you know. What are you guys so in love with the Leet code? You guys are just on the Leet code grinds. Un libro, what book is this? Maybe, I'm not sure. This is Data Structures and Algorithms in Python. Johan, thanks for coming in here. Appreciate you so much for joining me. Translate everything to do Leet code. Okay, so when a load factor grows beyond the desired threshold, a rehashing can take place, should take place, right? So this should be double the size of the current hash map. Create a new hash compression function to account for new increased n number of buckets, right? And then rehash or using the previous element hash codes, rehash the elements into the new hash map, right? So let's take this and see what the almighty orb has to say about it. Rehashing helps maintain the efficiency of hash map when the load factor becomes too high, which would otherwise increase the likelihood of collisions and slow down lookups and insertions. Steps of rehashing: double the size, increase the number of buckets, and to reduce the load factor. New compression function: update the hash function to fit the new number of buckets. Typically, you do something like hash code mod n, where n is the new size. Rehash elements: iterate over the old hash map and insert each element into the new hash map using the new compression function. This ensures that rehashing can be... okay. So it likes my notes. Man, I'm just getting wrecked by... I don't know if it's allergies. I don't think it is. I think it's just a cold, but... okay. Efficiency of hash tables. Although the details of average case analysis of hashing are beyond the scope of this book, its probabilistic basis is quite intuitive. If our hash function is good, then we can expect the entries to be uniformly distributed in the number of buckets of the bucket array. Thus, to store some number of entries, the expected number of keys in a bucket would be the ceiling of n over the number of buckets, which is O of 1, if n is the same number, if they're equal to each other, right? The cost associated with if n is O of big N. The cost associated with a periodic rehashing to resize a table after occasional insertions or deletions can be accounted for separately, leading to an additional O of 1 amortized cost for dunder set item and dunder get item. In the worst case, a poor hash function could map every item to the same bucket. This would result in linear time performance for the core map operations with separate chaining, or any open addressing model in which a second sequence or probe depends on the hash code. A summary of these costs is given in table 10.2. Okay. Efficiency of hash tables. Efficiency of okay, so we'll take this here. Copy that in. Okay. Comparing the running times of the methods of a map realized by the means of an unsorted list. As in section 10.1.5 or a hash table, we let n denote the number of items in the map, and we assume that the bucket array of sorting the hash table is maintained. We assume that the bucket array supporting the hash table is maintained such that its capacity is proportional to the number of items in the map. So get item in a list takes O of n, set item takes O of n, delete item takes O of n, length is O of 1. Jeez. I don't know, guys. This might have to be a short one. I'm getting destroyed over here. Oh my gosh. Sorry, you guys. I really apologize. Oh, please, hopefully you guys can sympathize, I guess. Um, so then in the hash table, expected is O of 1 for all of these, but in the worst case, you can take O of n in case you have to resize or something. Okay. Let's finish this page here. In practice, hash tables are among the most efficient means for implementing a map, and it is essentially taken for granted by programmers that their core operations run in constant time. Python's dict class is implemented with hashing, and the Python interpreter relies on dictionaries to retrieve an object that is referenced by an identifier in a given namespace. The basic command C equals A plus B involves two calls to get item in the dictionary for the local namespace to retrieve the values identified A and B. Okay, the basic command C equals A plus B involves two calls to the get item at the dictionary that hold the namespaces retrieve the values at A and B, and to call set item to store the result associated with the name C in that namespace. In our own algorithm analysis, we simply presume that such dictionary operations run in constant time, independent of the number of entries in the namespace. Admittedly, the number of entries is typically in a typical namespace can almost assuredly be bounded by a constant. In 2003, academic paper 31, researchers discussed the possibility of exploiting a hash table's worst-case performance to cause a denial of service or a DOS attack of internet technologies. For many published algorithms that compute hash codes, they denote that an attacker could pre-compute a very large number of moderate-length strings that all hash to identical 32-bit hash code. Recall that by any of the hashing schemes we described, other than the double hashing, if two keys are mapped to the same hash code, they will be inseparable in the collision resolution. Right, yeah. In the late 2011, another team of researchers demonstrated an implementation of such an attack in footnote 61. Web servers allow a series of key value pairs to be embedded in a URL syntax such as key 1 equals value 1 and key 2 equals value 2, so on and so forth. Typically, these key value pairs are immediately stored and mapped by the server, and a limit is placed on the length and number of such parameters, presumed that storage time in the map will be linear in the number of entries. If all keys were to collide, that storage requires quadratic time. If all keys were to collide, that storage time requires quadratic time, causing the server to perform an inordinate amount of work. In spring of 2012, Python developers distributed a security patch that introduces randomization into computation of hash codes for strings, making it less tractable to reverse engineer a set of colliding strings. Interesting. Tim says, go back to bed, bro. I know it's probably sad watching me just sit here sound like Squidward trying to read this book, you guys, but I really appreciate you guys joining me here and hanging out. I like hanging out with you guys. I can't hear the music. There you go. Okay. Let's go ahead and pause on the reading there, I guess, for DSA and DSA. Let's take a look at Fluent. Where are we at in Fluent? Slicing. We're almost to slicing. What does chapter 2 end? This is still chapter 2. Jeez. Jeez. Here, I think. Chapter 3 is on 73. We're on page 40 something. Golly. Alright, let's just go to the project. I'm sick. I just want to work on the project. I'm not really trying to learn some new stuff today, to be honest with you guys. Thank you, Weng Hong. I appreciate those kind words. He said, "You're amazingly consistent where most people would have rested many days." Thank you so much. I appreciate your those words of encouragement. You guys are just feeling me to keep going here, though. All right, let's work on the project, though. I wanna code. We need to code. Okay, let's do some coding. Yeah. Okay, so this is the small business manager that we've been working on for a few weeks, 2 months now, actually. We're currently in the final stages of the project for like a working version, at least for providing some basic business statistics. We can always go in and add some more after the fact, but for the most part, it'll be kind of okay. Now, let me go ahead and grab another tissue really quick, you guys. I'll be right back, and we'll get going here in just a second. Be right back. All right, you guys. Got some juice here. Hopefully that'll keep us going for maybe another hour or so. And then I might have to do it. Man, I'm really like bummed because I'm super excited to like do stuff, but I'm just being limited by my abilities here just because of this stupid sickness. I'm like really wanting to program and code, but did you take some business related courses in college? Yeah, funny enough, my first year of college, I was going to be an accountant. My dad's an accountant, so I was going to go down that path, but I decided, I don't really think that's for me. I'm going to go ahead and switch it up into more science related stuff, so that's what we did. Hey, Jacob, welcome back, dude. Appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sick. I don't know what's going on. I thought I was feeling better yesterday, but I woke up today. I'm just getting wrecked by congestion, and maybe I'm just kind of clearing stuff out. I think I'm coming on the downside of it, maybe. But let's work on our project. We need to work on this. So okay, let's get situated. So, right, let's go ahead and clear out what we have. Let's start fresh. Let's run the program. Let's go to enter in here. Let's go to business JSON and let's see here. Okay, so let's open up our whiteboard. And let's go ahead and kind of recreate that what we did before. Right? So we have annual gross revenue. Right? We have annual net revenue. We have annual gross expenses. We have annual gross expenses categorized. and we have annual gross expenses method based, right? Method categorized. Okay, so those are our current statistics that we're tracking, right? Now, let's just do this one step at a time. Like, let's just make sure that we have everything working for just for adding an individual item. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So we'll put up here at the top, we'll make another row here and say, this is for the add item, right? Boom. Okay. Let's go ahead and fill this graph in. Okay. AJ Brady says, did you have to brush up on some of the business topics then, or is this just baked into your memory? Well, actually, funny enough, again, I've kind of always been a little bit more business oriented, entrepreneur minded, I guess. So my girlfriend, she really enjoys, reselling, or just not reselling. She really enjoys just, vintage clothing. She has very good, keen eye for, finding, made in USA, or vintage clothing that has a value and stuff like that. And so I've kind of set up a business for her that is pretty self-sustainable and pretty much just supplies and sustains her hobby of this. And so we have a business model of where we really try to just rehome these vintage clothing and not try to make like a large profit on anything. We're trying to we do obviously profit slightly just to stay afloat, but the main goal of the business is just to provide her a way for her to kind of fund her hobby. So we have set up a business where she resells some of these clothing items, and I'm currently having to track all this information myself via like Excel sheets and various other data points for reporting when it comes tax time funny enough, to deal with my dad, and because he's an accountant, right? That's what I was gonna be in college. I was gonna be an accountant, my old man. But so when I go deal with my dad, I have to provide him all this information at the end of the year regarding her gross profit, revenue per item, all that kind of jazz. And then he'll obviously do all that tax necessary. So I wanted to automate the process, and for anybody else out there that also has a small business of a similar format of just kind of simple items and selling individual items, they can also apply this to theirs. It's pretty dynamic because I have a couple hard-coded methods and categories of inventory and shipping in here, right? And then these are just some test methods we have to come up with. Like, I think I'll just do like the general like business bank account, and then business checking, and then business credit as the two methods, right? Or maybe I'll make a third one called cash as well. And so it's those will be the baked in methods, but the user can also go ahead and add in additional methods, and then the functions are able to dynamically iterate through this list of methods and categories, whether it be updated or not by the user, and categorize the individual items based on that from there, right? So it should be able to create these statistics. Now we're not properly doing updates though. So that's the whole thing with the bugs right now, is when we're loading the items in, it sometimes is working with the statistic updates, and then when we actually edit those item parameters for how much the item cost or how much it's sold for, if it goes up or down, these statistics aren't properly being updated either. Right. Man, I'm really bummed because I feel like a cannon, like I'm ready to just like blast off, like, and just like really, I want to do a bunch of stuff today and stream for a while, but I'm just getting, you guys can tell by my voice, I'm just getting wrecked over here. So I really appreciate you guys, being here and supporting me. Yep, database implementation next. Yes, for sure, Don Soap. So what we're going to do is once we polish up this working version 1.0, we're kind of going to reformat and factor this into a working 2.0, where we'll implement a SQLite implementation to handle all the database and no longer use JSON. We'll use a SQLite database, and then we will also transition this into having a front end as well via a web app full stack. I think would be cool, like we're learning in CS50X, and then we'll use that as our final project. So how does that sound, you guys? Dude, not gonna lie, I hate new clothing. It's super sad to have learned that pretty much everything new is slop now. Yeah, exactly. Like she's really good at finding these clothes and giving them like a new home rather than just going back to the dump or just being thrown away or tossed or scrapped or whatnot. So because a lot of that vintage older clothing is really solid and is cute, especially stuff that made in the United States from back in the 90s, early 2000s, 80s, especially like all those times. It's a lot better quality clothing, and it just has a lot of value too. So if you know what you're looking for, you can really spot out and make a pretty decent profit margin on some of these thrifted items. For instance, I know we're not gonna, this isn't a business channel, but we are doing a business related project. So um, it's it's shoot, it's gonna be what was I gonna say? Um, right, so you acquire these items at a cost of some upwards of like a minimum of like maybe a few dollars, so $4 or $5. Super small would be like if you got it for really cheap, like I got a bins, or like you got it by weight, so it was like super cheap. Which but as vintage clothing has gained popularity, the margins have slimmed a little bit just because of the markup on the actual thrifted clothes themselves. Just because these companies are kind of starting to catch on, like Goodwill and stuff, to the markup and the value. But that's a whole nother ethical thing. Like, should these thrift companies be marking up their value for a profit when they're actually non-profit companies, which is kind of also another ethical thing we can get into if you guys want to talk about it. But it's funny that because and yeah, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. My brain's pretty foggy from this sickness, but dude's gonna make the next Stripe. That's funny. You guys are so positive, and thank you guys for believing in me. Thanks, AJ. Is this an API yet, or something scripts with logic that you execute via the command line? It's just with logic via the command line. I've written out every I've had to code out every edge case, handle every try except for user input. So I've gotten over close to 1,500 lines in this one main file, but across all my files, probably close to like 2,000 lines, which doesn't seem too crazy. But for a project solo by myself over the course of a few months, it's not too bad. But it's had a lot of different edge cases I've had to think about. This could really be your final project for the CS50 thing. You can scale more like UI and data visualization. Yeah, exactly. So, right, we're just gaining. This is really just the bare bones of it, you guys. Is once we have all this statistic information, we can then go ahead and insert like what is it? Graph pi. What is it? GUI pi. What is it? Matplotlib, right? Something like that, and we can start plotting these and make visualizations, and it'll be really cool. Exactly, Don Soap. Probably setting up an API with the Django or Flask would be the next step. Would go to learn Postman on how to poke at it as well. I've been building GPU web scraper API lately in my spare time. It's been fun so far. Nice, dude. What's that been like? Similar to you planning to build a front end around it, or front end around it soon, but I'll probably package it into an all-electron desktop app. Nice. AJ says, Michael, have you looked into an LSP for Python yet? No, I haven't. You guys have suggested the LSP stuff before. I kind of honestly have forgotten about it and what it is. And look into type hints. Yeah, people have told me I need to use type hints more in Python as well. I'm trying to get better at that too. Matplotlib, my second favorite Python library. Well, you'll be a great help then, Tim, when we get there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a demo of what's going on. Right, so this is our bug tracker. This is our feature. These are our statistics. Right, when we add an item, what should happen? Right, so if we add in an item, the annual gross revenue, nothing should happen, right? Annual gross revenue does not increase or decrease upon adding an unsold or just an item to inventory. If I add in an item, annual net revenue then will not increase either. No. So annual net revenue is calculated by this statistic minus this statistic. So annual net revenue will then decrease, right, at this stage in time because annual gross expenses will increase. When we create an item, right, you generate an expense off of that item cost, right, if it's great, right, no matter what. So let's go ahead and put this to test. Let's see what's going on. So we'll go into inventory, add item, use today's date, yes. We'll say this is going to be AJ Brady. So the item AJ Brady. Cost is going to be, we'll say the cost for this item is 111. The size, well, it doesn't matter, quantity, and then just one of them. So as you can see, there's our item now, populated into our JSON. PyCharm has all that built in. IIRC, what does IIRC mean? I'm a JetBrains fanboy though. Maybe we should give it a try. One day try to code in PyCharm. There's so much to do. I hate being sick. I want to do so much, but I'm not feeling super up to doing a longer stream today, unfortunately. Oh, shoot. I wish maybe tomorrow if I'm feeling a little bit better. Hopefully. But I've just been sleeping a lot, you guys. It's been taken out of me. Okay, so we've added the item. Let's go to our expense class. There's the expense generated off of that item, right? Right? So, and let's go to our business JSON, okay? Let's go bring up our whiteboard. Let's take out our paper, or our thing here. So this should also increase then, and this should also increase then, because these are just one and the same. These will basically increase and decrease together, because if you change a price of an expense, well, the associated category of that expense and method will also increase or decrease proportionally. So that's why that'll follow suit. Okay, so is that happening here? Okay, so let's go bust out our color green. So on add item, right? Are we getting nothing happening to annual gross revenue? Yes, perfect. So annual net revenue is not decreasing. So no, just like we identified before. So no negative, right? It's not allowing for this 111 to be taken out of annual net revenue and decreased. So I wonder why that is. Okay, annual gross expenses is being increased. Okay, by default, we have hard coded in right now that the item is getting the expense is getting a method of just a test method, so that it gets generated with the method no matter what. And so, let's see here. Annual gross category expenses is going up appropriately, or the gross expenses is going up. That is going up as well, and that one is going up as well, right? So we fixed those ones last time. If I recall correctly, I'm a huge fan of learning your tools. Def look into both PyCharm and getting an LSP set up in VS Code to see what you like. What is an LSP? An LSP is a protocol used to provide language-specific features like auto-completion, go-to definition, and linting in code editors. Allows code like editors like VS Code to communicate with a language server that understands the programming language being used. what does it? What do you guys recommend? If you guys are here, leave a thumbs up on the stream. I really appreciate you all being here. Let's all go ahead and leave a thumbs up here. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Okay, so let's look at our business.py. So on add item, let's look here. So here's our add item function. Right, we added in all these comments last time to explain what was happening. We're updating annual gross expenses. We're updating annual gross info. So we need to update annual net revenue here. So in business.py, we have a function called update annual revenue for net, right? So we need to add this function. So what this function will do is we provided a filter of net to edit the net revenue, update annual net revenue. We then provide it in the item itself, right, that we're updating, and then the old revenue that we were giving it, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So this can be none, right? So if we simply just put in the case of gross, or case of net, sorry, updated annual net revenue, we update the net. What am I doing here? So if the case is gross, if year is in the gross revenue dot keys, so it's part of the year, then we're going to go to that gross revenue at that year and increase it, decrease it by the diff. Else we'll just set it to that, right? And then in net, I call updated annual net revenue is this function. Why do I call this function? Initialize annual. So you don't have the Python? I think I do. I should, right? Yeah, I got it right here. Okay, so why am I calling because there's nothing to update, right? In terms of like I don't have to use all of this information. The net will just take, I just need to basically, and I'm just calling that function because that when to update the net revenue is just basically like calling the initialization once again, right? Let me show you guys. So initialize annual revenue for net. Right here, if it's net, right, it's just going to do return revenue. So this is going to return a value. So update annual revenue. net. What do they call this? And we save it as that. Okay, I'll make all here. Let's try it. Okay, so we'll do business dot update annual revenue. Filter equals quote net. Because you're not using the item here. So, oh, shoot. Filter net. I can put in the item here. But it really shouldn't be required, right? Because you have this option here. But you're going to try to do it here. You get the year and the amount. Right here. Okay, so let's take the item then. What is going on here? I'm confused. Blocks of text. It's getting tricky here. I mean, we're almost there, so it's okay. We're almost done with the project here, so keep grinding. So all item, new item. New underscore item. Alright. Item equals new item. And we don't give an old revenue. Okay, so then what happens if I run it now? Let's go main menu, exit, yes. Let's delete that, and delete that. Let's run, enter, go to business JSON, inventory, add item, yes. Test item will make this Dawn soap, just a Downy soap. 111, medium, one of these. So we're getting this now, line 156 of update annual revenue, business.py, has no date sold. If yours, non-raise type error. time is not scriptable. So let's make it to dict then. Add item, yes. Dawn soap. 111. Medium. Quantity 1. None type is not scriptable. Right, so if it doesn't have a year for that, you can't index into it. Okay, so this is what we'll have to do. I need to stop combining these functions together. They need to have sole purposes, right? So we need to do this. Def update annual net revenue, right? It takes in self. Okay, so what's the first thing we need to do to update the annual net revenue? We need to access the current self.income information annual gross revenue, right? So current gross revenue equals to self.income information annual gross revenue. Okay. Time to configure a debugger. What you mean, Jacob? Oh, you mean like, well, we're getting bugs here? Yeah, I get you. Okay, so income information, annual, so that'll pull the current value there. Okay. We then want to say current gross annual, so this is annual gross. So the current annual gross revenue, then we have current annual gross expenses, right, is equal to self.expense information annual gross expenses, right? That pulls that information. Now we need to set then self.income information quote annual net revenue so I was calling this above, right, because if it's net just call this, because what it's doing here, why is it saving like this? Formatting is so weird. Right, so if it's net here, we go for every year in income information, annual gross revenue, right? That's the keys. We access the keys. If year in the expense got gross expense, this, if it's in the gross expenses, you have a year correlated for that expense, then to update the revenue. Okay, so then I don't even really need to do this. Like in here, that's what I was doing before. I was just calling this. Right here. Like such. So then I'll delete this net. I'll just make this update annual gross revenue. Right. Delete this filter. Delete this. So delete this. Bring this here. Right there. Okay. So update annual will get the year from this current item. The date sold. If it's none, raise a type error. Amount equals the sold price of the item. So you would call this when you sell an item, basically. You call this when you generate an item, sell an item, or generate an expense. Because it utilizes the expenses as well. Is the project on your GitHub? Not yet. I want to put it up there once we are get these bugs polished up, and then we can open it up to like working together maybe. Yeah, that'd be fun, I think. What do you guys think about that? Would you guys want to collab on it together? Okay, so that returns back a revenue, right? And we save that revenue as the updated net revenue for that. Okay, so then we need to call update annual gross revenue. Update annual net revenue here with no filter, no item. It's not needed, just like so. So let's go ahead and clear out this, and so I am, however, calling this in business.py when I launch the program. So net revenue, we're calling initialize here, so we should see it here on restart. Let's try it. I run here. Do I have any items in here? No. Let me add an item. Inventory, add item. Yes. Who's gonna get this? Jacob Allen. Jacob Allen is the item here. Cost is 111. Medium for size. Quantity is one of them. Boom. There you are, Jacob Allen, loaded into the system. So then our business. So annual net revenue is not being updated. Why? So we're calling update annual net revenue right here on that item. So update annual net revenue. So update annual net revenue is calling the initialize annual revenue, right? For net type. So what happens if I go back, exit, and then I relaunch? Will it work there too? No. So in my initialized annual revenue for net, what we're doing is we say for a year in our current gross revenue, key values, if the year is in self-expense information, revenue year is equal to, I hate this formatting. What is it doing? What is this formatting? It's so bad. Like, what is it doing? What's this spacing? Like, what? Dude, what is going on? What is this? This is so terrible. Get out of here. Okay, so what this is doing is it's saying okay, so let's see. So this is saying for every year in this dictionary, if the year is in correlates to a year that has a gross annual expense, we're going to go to create a revenue at that year. We're going to we have a revenue dictionary here. We're going to create a key value for year, set that equal to the current value of self.income information annual gross revenue for that year. Okay. So right, it should be setting okay, so if year we want to increment it, right? The revenue at that year minus the gross annual expenses at that year. Else it's just this. And then it returns revenue. So then in this, when we're calling that, right, because we didn't need to rewrite it, because to actually do the update, we don't need any other information besides those two pieces, the annual gross revenue at that year and annual gross expenses at that year. Dang it. So, do I have an item in here? I do. So I exit, yes. And I run. Still no negative. I add an item. Test. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Quantity 1. No. Dang it. Why is that not working? Hey. What's up? Oh. Oh yeah. No.
I found that.
Get out of
It's
here.
from Logan.
That is so
I had to
gross.
use it.
Okay, so what's supposed to be happening here is that we have, right, our business class has a statistic. It has an income information variable, which houses a dictionary, right? A key value of this dictionary is annual gross revenue, which is another dictionary, which has years and the associated gross revenue for that year. Now, what should be going on is when I update Mahan, you're funny. Right, when I do this initially, so I'm calling type net here and type gross for the initial. So if type is gross, we go to for item, right? We go through all the items. Oh, so I don't need to loop here. Why am I looping? Okay, so I just need to initialize annual gross revenue. We need to separate it. We need to remove this type variable. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Right. We don't need this. We don't. Right. We don't need this. Move this back. So if you have an item there, and you have an item date sold, try to do this. Okay, so we didn't need to do that in the loop. Okay, so then we have initialize annual gross revenue, update annual gross revenue. So this is going to be gross income information functions, right? And then more specifically, this is going to be gross annual annual gross revenue functions, right? And then we'll take this, and then we basically need great. Okay, so then this is going to be annual net revenue functions. Okay, so that's what's going on here. Okay, so then, all right, so we have to write this function now. Okay, so to update the annual net revenue, what you have to do is call what we have to do is get the current annual net revenue, right? We need to get that by self dot income information quote oh no, so the income information. Okay, so we're gonna have to loop though, right? So this is just on one instance, right? So right, because the annual net revenue is going to be a dictionary, right? Annual gross. Gross revenue. So then in the net revenue, right, it's a variable that houses a value, a key value of annual net revenue, which then has, we need to track the years. So we'll say for year in, we need to reference the gross revenue. No. So let me get all the years first. So years, right, because this references multiple things. So we need to list, this is going to be a set, or say, right, we'll say for year in self dot annual or income information quote annual gross revenue right, annual gross revenue for every year in there. That'll give me the keys. They're not iterable, so I have to do dot keys, right? Because the annual gross revenue key value houses a dictionary with key values of years. Okay. We then say years dot add year. So we want to add it to the set. and we want to do the same thing for year in. Now there are not going to be a ton of years, right? You can't go up years very often. So, I mean, we can do a linear loop here. It's kind of fine. Annual gross expenses, right? Dot keys. So we want to get all the unique years from both the annual annual gross revenue and annual gross expenses, right? Years.add year. So let's make a comment. Let's say get all unique years found in the annual gross revenue dict and the annual gross expenses dict, right? I think this is a perfect opportunity to set up a Python debugger in VS Code. You can set a breakpoint in the method here and step through your code line by line. Yeah, that's a good idea. We did that yesterday for the Leet code problem we were doing, and it really helped a lot. It was my first time ever actually taking the debugger seriously and actually using it seriously, and I was like, where has this been all my life? So definitely need to use it more here. Favorite song, Martise1661. Thanks for joining me here. I appreciate you so much for following along and saying hello. Favorite song? I like a lot of like old classic rock. I like a lot of pop punk stuff. I like a lot of like just like indie chill stuff. I'm really big on I like Claro a lot. I like, who else do I like? I guess my favorite song at the moment, I don't know. I don't have one, I guess. I like the artist. I like Claro a lot. I listen to a lot of her music. A lot of Foreigner. A lot of just classic rock, Styx, Journey, things like that. This is hard to, yeah, it's kind of difficult, Don Soap. I appreciate you for bearing with me. It's kind of difficult when the project gets pretty elaborate, that if you're trying to jump in here when you haven't been from the very jump, it's difficult to pick up on what's going on. Yeah, I arrived to the stream late, so I don't have the full picture of how the application works. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Red Sky, appreciate you for jumping in and saying hello. Thank you so much, dude. I'm just thinking about of the refactoring to use a database. I know, right? That might be a whole struggle. We might just have to start, honestly, the program from scratch. It might not be as like, we might be able to move pretty quickly, but yeah, so I can explain what I'm doing right now. Right, we've been writing this project where the user can actually take in items, right? They can take in and generate items. Each item has a unique number, and the item has various attributes to them, right? Now, you can then convert these items into for sale and sold items by giving them a date listed and a listing price, or a date sold and a sold price, right? And so it's pretty simple. You can generate an item, you give it an item number, it gets auto-generated, you give it a name, a size, a cost, and a date created. That's it for generating an item. Now, you can then convert those items, right, in the main menu here, using the transactions menu, item search to item number 1, you can pull up the item Jacob Allen here from the database and actually convert that as for sale or sold, right? Cool. So then if you do one of those, you just get prompted to apply the various data points, right? The date listed, the listing price, or the date sold, and the sold price. Now what's happening is when you generate an item, or let me back up, you can also create expenses. So I go main menu, expense, right? I can create an expenses in a very similar format to adding an item, right? It just prompts the user to create an expense for an amount, a date, a description, a category, a method, a note, and then it overall gives it a number. Now the number isn't super important to the user because that's just for the database. They will probably search up their expense via the amount or the date or maybe the description of it, right? So if I go to find edit expense, as you can see, I allow the user to search for an expense via their amount, the date, or actually the number as well. So you generate expenses. Now, what are these expenses in here, right? Because it says note item number 1, note item number 2. Well, that's where these things start to then interact, right? Now we're getting some interaction between these two class objects, right? When you generate an item, right, the item has an associated cost for the business that you need to calculate for tax purposes. You have to know the item's individual cost to be able to track it and then calculating net revenue on that item. Now, right, so we generate an expense associated lisping over here. We generate an expense on every item, right? And then it just references in the note the item number of that item, right? So now what am I having difficulty here with is now that we have a lot of interaction going on and we're trying to then track statistics. So we have now a business class, right? A business class that can track these interactions about dependency injection yet. No, I have not. I've never heard of that term before. You mind explaining, Jacob Allen? So we can track these various statistics across the business, right? These buying and sellings and expenses. So in my business.json here, we have a name. You have an income information which houses annual gross revenue and annual net revenue. You have an expense information which houses an annual gross expense and an annual gross categorized expense and an annual gross method expense categorization, right? You then have expense settings and inventory settings, right? So these are various kind of functionalities of the actual program for the business, but these are the statistics here. Now, when you create items, right, that's what we're focusing on now. When I generate an item, right, when I add an item, my annual gross revenue, nothing should happen, right? When you add an item, it's not a sale, it's not an expense, well, it is an expense, but it's not affecting your gross income at all. You're not making any money from this. So nothing happens there. Annual net revenue, however, will go down if, right, in some cases, if this cost of the item had a positive cost, right? So if the item had a positive cost, the annual net revenue would decrease, thus inverse, the annual gross expense would increase, and proportionally, these just track and break it down in categories and methods, they will proportionally increase as well based on that increase, right? So what does that tell us? Right? Right. So now what we're trying to accomplish is that our business class, right, we are trying to have in our things here, we have an issue here. This is the only thing that isn't working appropriately, is our annual net revenue is not decreasing into the negative. So once we fix this bug, all of the functionality of the add item will work appropriately. So this is our last bug for this feature. So let's think here. So we have, right, we need to initialize. So I might make this initialize. So this will be init, annual net revenue, self, and then we'll have to make it so that we have we don't iterate over previous years and stuff. We don't need to do that. We can just insert the item itself that we're changing, and then go from there. So you'll see in a second. So we'll make this the initialized annual net revenue for self, right? We're going to gather all the years that are in the expenses and the revenue, right? So what if one has a year that the other doesn't? We want to make sure we're encompassing all the years. And then we'll say this, right? We're going to create a annual net revenue is equal to a dictionary. We are then going to say for year in years, right? We will go current annual gross revenue is equal to self dot income information, quote, annual gross revenue at that index of year, right? Because we're going to that year, getting that information. We're going to call dot get here. If there is no value, there is no income for that year, we're going to just assume 0. Oh shoot, so hold on. Dot get. What does this upload? Show example. Shoot example. Okay, so go into this dictionary and get the value, right, of the year key. If there's none, make it 0. Perfect. Okay, then we'll copy this down basically and make this current annual gross expenses. Self.income information, annual gross expenses dot get on that year. Perfect. L0. We're going to want to try to do this, right? What if there is no key for that year? What if there is no key? Seems like it'd be bad enough. So if the key doesn't exist. Okay, so if the key doesn't exist, we're going to give this one. Okay, so I think that's fine then. So then we need to say annual net revenue, index, year for the key, we're going to go annual net revenue at that year. is equal to current annual gross revenue minus current annual gross expenses. And then at the end of the loop, we're going to return. At the end of the loop, we're going to set self.income information annual net revenue is going to be equal to the annual net revenue dictionary we just created. Right? So what's going on here? We're getting every year from these two dictionaries, which are key values that hold the annual revenue for that year and the annual gross expenses for that year. We then say for every year in those years, we gather the current value of that key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to throw it in the almighty orb and say, I wrote this function for calculating the annual net revenue given the years of the annual gross revenue and the annual gross expenses. Don't do it for me, but is there any potential issues you see? I only see one key issue. The get method expects a single key as the first argument, but you're passing in year with a list. Oh, that's right. We don't need a UD either. If year is an integer string, okay, perfect. Okay, so then let's go over to our function here and call initialize annual net revenue here for this function, or for this. And let's see if that works now, okay? So we have items in our thing that have costs, right? Which means that we have expenses generated in our business.json of $2,200 or $220, right? For the year 2025. So we should we should go in here, see, okay, there is no year of 2025 in here. That's okay. We do have one here, however, for 2025, right? So we do need to make a note entry for this. That's why we did that set, is we gained all the unique years between the income information annual gross revenue and the expense information annual gross expenses. We got all the years uniquely, right? We are then going to go to those individual years and grab the values associated with them, and and then calculate and populate a dictionary for this guy here. So I think that this should work. If I don't know, let's try it. Main menu, exit, yes. Okay, now let's relaunch here. Load. Annual net revenue will be a set/array of values. Yeah, so annual net revenue, I did that set, right? The reason why I did a set here is because I wanted to get all the years uniquely. I wanted to get all of them unique between the annual gross revenue and the annual gross expenses. Because what if they made, like, if you're in between years or something, or you just started the business like the day before the new year, you created an expense but you didn't make any sales, and then you moved on to 2026, well, then you still need to have a negative net income for 2025, right? So you can't lose that year. So we have to query both of those data sets for the years and then populate a annual net revenue based off of those years for both of them, right? So then let's run this. Ready? So if I run this, here we go. Come on, baby. Show me the money. No. Yo! Don't do me like that. Okay. Key error. So in line 153 here, annual gross expenses. Annual gross expenses. Self.expense information. Oh, it's going to be expense information. That's why. Not income information. There we go. Okay, now let's try it again. Let's try it again here. Okay, ready, guys? Here we go. If you guys think this will work, give me a 1 in the chat. If you think it's not going to work, it's broke, give me a 0. 1 or 0. 1 or 0. All right, here we go. No. Come on. Oh, okay, I have it again. Oh, yeah, here. Oops. Expense information. Sorry, guys. Gambling men over here would have lost some money if we put some. I wish you two would incorporate that what Twitch does, where you can, like gamble, watch time bits. I think that's so fun. Like, I think that'd be so fun. Like, what if maybe we should make a program where like users can log in. I've talked with Mahan about this. I don't know if he's still in here, but him and I were talking about a project for the channel that we can make where you create kind of like a user database almost, like a web app where you can sign in and then to your YouTube via Google account or Gmail account, right? And then right, you could and then you could basically, it would track your watch hours across various channels, and then it would provide you like statistics if a channel was set up for it, to like having like a fan base, like, hub or something. Like, I think that'd be super cool, like where you have like a web app where you can directly see like your top fans, or whatever, top supporters. You can do like giveaways through there. You could do donations through there. You could do whatever. I mean, I think it would be really cool to have like a centralized, like, supporter hub that kind of tracks your interactions with the creator through your watch hours or something. What do you guys think about that? Okay, let's go ahead and try this again here. Let's one more time. 3rd time's the charm. No. No. We got something. Oh. So initialize annual net revenue. Okay, there are all the sets. There are all the years. Yeah. Ah, shoot. Okay, let's see here. Alright, you'll have to help me out here, Jacob. Let's set this here. And let's run here. Oh, hold on. Okay, yeah, because I don't have the update. I have in the start menu. I call here. So this is where it goes. Okay, so we're in here. Let's step into, step into, boom. That generates the business. So boom. Okay, now we have that. We have a business object that was generated now right here. Right? Cool. Okay. So then keep going. It's setting all of these. Okay, it's doing the expenses. Okay, now it's into inventory settings. Okay, now we're into here. We're going to initialize annual gross here. Annual gross expenses gets initialized, which is fine. Annual gross info expenses gets initialized for every single one of those. Step over that. Step out of that. Step over. Step over. Okay, here we go. So income information. Let's step over. That updates that. Over. Now let's step into here. Here we go. Here we go. So we're getting all the years. So there was no years in the revenue, right? There was no years in here. So it didn't find any. It found a year in here. Perfect. 2025. It sets that as years and moves on. We have a new variable, annual net revenue, added to the stack. This is cool. So then we get this value, 2025. For the year 2025, which is 0. Perfect. Okay. Then it grabs 2220 from here. Right? Then sets it to negative. Perfect. 2220. And then saves that as annual net revenue Self.income for inflation annual net revenue. Oh, I know what's happening. Okay. I'm calling it here already as the return value. So I don't need to set it to an empty dictionary. That's why it's doing null. Aha. So I don't need to set it, I just need to return it. Right there. So now I'll exit out of this. So we're getting the where our function is good. Now we'll go into here, go main, enter, and let's see here, business.py, business JSON, we should have negative here, negative 2220. Come on, show me the money. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Ah. Nice. Look at that. On the left panel, you see everything. It really helps you current state of your program. I think you can hover over the mouse over the variable you're debugging. It should tell you the current value. Yes. Line 164 might not be getting sent in your class state properly. Yeah, you were right. Uh-oh. Mahan's busting out the math? What's Mahan? Gibberish is Mahan speaking. Okay, so now we are appropriately initializing annual net revenue across all years. So now let me do this. To test this, let's go to inventory, add item. Let's use a date in the past and a date in the future. So today's date, we'll say 2024-12-25, so Christmas, right? Item name, Chris, 2024 item. Test. Cost, we'll say this was 111. Size, medium. Quantity, 1. Okay. Dang it. Okay, right. So we're not doing the update. So that added the item, right? No. We're not. Thank you guys for being here. I'm sick. I've been sick this weekend. I didn't go to work on Thursday. I had to go on Friday to get some stuff done. I had a solution of big 120 liters of urine that was going to expire unless I got it, used it into my formulation by Friday. So I had to go in and get some stuff done. But I've been sleeping all day today. I feel bad. I wanted to do a long stream today to, and maybe a double feature in the morning as well to really do some work on the project and fine tune this stuff. But my health is just not keeping up here with it. It's just I'm struggling here. My sinuses are all this is what I'm studying for Thursday's test. I'm telling you, I'm doomed. Find the limit as an app. Inf of n factorial divided by n to the power of n e to the power of n square root 2 pi times n. Or candy, bro. Yeah, that's not like fun. Right, so this bug that's going on. So now, right, because we updated that function, we don't have an update now. So we do need to add an update. So for an update, right, we can do this a few ways, you guys. Like, to do an update, we can do it on an individual local level, right? Like, or we can do it across or we can be lazy and do it inefficiently. What do you guys think? Now, you're probably going to say do it the efficient way. what I mean by that is to do an update to the annual net revenue is you only update it when you generate an expense, right? You increase an expense, or that you make a sale, or you have an expense. So annual net revenue gets increased no matter what, or decreased no matter what entry happens. If you make a sale, it gets increased. If you make an expense, it gets decreased. So they have an inverse relationship. So that being said, we can pass in through the parameter, right? We can pass in a parameter to specify the specific expense, and then we can extract out the date that took place, and then use that for the year, right? We can do that, or we can just basically lazily call the update across every year. Because I mean, the thing is though, is it's not going to be too like crazy, because you're not accessing a ton of different data points. You're maybe accessing because you have to access 2 data points per year, right? You have to access the expense for that year and the gross revenue for that year, and then make a constant uptime operation. But businesses only last for some number of years, so you're not gonna have maybe maximum 100 data points, if a business is pretty old. So it's really not too large of an end value to do the looping over, is what I'm trying to say. Is it even worth us to pass in the individual item, extract the year from that, whatever, and then make the adjustment on that year line item specifically? Hey Carlos, welcome back in, dude. How's Python Crash Course been going? Did you muster up the energy and courage to keep going? I know that you were struggling, or at least you told me that you were struggling to continue onward and through chapter 11. Let me know what you were reading now. Were you able to do a couple of pages? This is why they say U of T is U of T, or not U of Toronto. Oh, I think he meant probably California. Okay, so so that's happened. So then the update. So then if I just go initialize, it'll do it here. So if I go to my add item, and then I make this function here, initialize. This is the lazy way, right? We're just doing it across all years, right? So if I run this, yes, inventory, business JSON here, add item, it's today's date, yes. Item name, let's say it's test, cost 111, size medium, quantity 1. Okay, we should see this go down to -333. No. Because we need to, it's returning a value, right? So we need to save that value as the value itself. So business dot income information, quote, annual net revenue, close quote, is equal to the return of this. Okay, so now if we go here, go main menu, exit, yes, right? So now, if I run it, you should see it happen, right? So if I press play here, you should see it change now once I press enter. There it goes, okay, woohoo. Okay, it works on launch, but does it work live on the update? So inventory, add item, today's date, test, cost, let's say 111, size, medium, quantity 1. Okay, so this number should go down to negative 444 here. This one should go down. This should go up to 444, up to 444, and this should go up to 444. No! Come on! What? No way! Why not? Oh, because we're updating the gross expenses there. Ah, so we need to do this afterwards. So down here. There we go. Right? It is doing it, but it's not doing it on the right data. We have to update it afterwards. Okay, so now if I go run, if I go main menu, exit, yes. Right, so now we have negative 33. Now this should go to negative 444 because it works on launch, right? Oop. Works on launch, negative 444, perfect. And then go inventory, add item, test, or use today's date, yes. Test, cost, we'll say 111, item size, medium, quantity 1. Okay, so now this should go down to negative 555. And all of those other ones should go up to positive 555. Yes! Woo! We got it! Nice! Yes, yes, yes! Oh, whew! I needed this win today. I needed this win. I was really not looking forward to having to come in and debug these functions because I write these functions oftentimes. What happens is I'll come back and do late night streams and do after hours, and then I'll write these functions at like 1 in the morning when I'm like half asleep, and then I'll come back and then I have no idea what I wrote. I know that it worked for the purpose at that time, but it has like edge case bugs that I need to fix. So going back and remembering my 1 a.m. functions is always tough. Do you guys have that problem too? Remembering stuff you wrote? Okay. Nice. So now that is working appropriately. So the add item, everything with the add item is working now, right? Weather and stuff is nicer for sure. Nicer, sure, but housing market is even worse in Canada. Tell me more, my aunt want to move on. Mom. No. All right. Cool. So, all right. Nice. Let's go ahead and check that off then. That is now working appropriately. Sweet. So all the add item is appropriately working now. So now what we need to do, you guys, is we need to just go through and basically mimic today's work session and apply these update functions to various just specific points in the program. Like whenever we edit a cost, whether it be of an item or of an item's cost up front or an item's sale cost, we have to do these updates. Whenever we update an expense, we have to do these updates, right? So, and then if we were to change, right? If we were to edit an expenses category, right? We are also determining statistics off of that information as well. So we have to account for the user changing categories live, and then make sure those updates are happening live as well. They will be happening on launch. We know that it's working on launch, right? But we need to make sure that it's happening live as well at those various pinpoints in our program. So that'll be our next task. Time to do int to Roman. I told you, Mahan, I don't know how to solve it. I got this far on it. Let's look it up here. Right, I got this far on it, but I don't know what to do from here. We have to do something right here. What's the relationship between expense settings and expense information? Not connecting the dots there. Yeah, so expense information, it just has to do with the information. So things that are labeled information are like tracking like pricings and like statistics, whereas the settings are just like the individual attributes that the user can dynamically update themselves. No, you're good, Jacob. Right, so for example, in our program here, if I go main menu, the user can go to the settings menu with option 4. Leave a like on the stream for the sickness here. I powered through for you guys. So you can go to the business settings. You can edit the name of the business, right here. You can go to the expense settings, and you can add categories or add expense, right? You can add new ones, right? Or you can add new methods, right? So the user has the ability to add in addition to these hard-coded methods, their own tracking statistics as well if they have various other categories, right? So if they make a category for, like I'll have in here probably business checking, business credit, and then cash, right? So that those would be the methods. But what if they have like they want to do check, or they want to do like a different form of income, like they want to track like crypto or something. I don't know. They for their method, right? They can do that there. Yeah, you add strings to this list, and then these strings then are used to break down and track the statistics on an even deeper level. For their individual categories, per their individual methods, per year, right? So I know it's kind of pretty daunting. There's a lot of layers going on here with dictionaries, but I've been able to kind of track it as I've been going here pretty well, is that you have every category is then broken down by year from there, right? So like all for the expenses, every expense that has categorized as inventory will be populated here, and all the inventory expenses for 2025 is this number here, and then all the inventory expenses for 2024, 2026. If you had shipping expenses, they would be there here as well. So it breaks it down even further. Mohan, I'm not. What was your way? I don't know what your method was. I can't remember. Right, so this was our current approach. We solved one of the cases, but so now we need to solve the other one, right, where you have subtraction taking place. I'll stream for a few more minutes here, you guys, and then I'll probably call it around 8 p.m. PST. But you're kind of relying on the user entering a correct expense setting in the input, right? What happens at the terminal when they are prompted to add a new expense setting to that list and they type something like "I like trains view"? Yeah, so if they were to, well, that's kind of like the dynamism of it is that is pretty dynamic to where I'm not actually calling for individual, right? What I'm doing is I'll first will loop over the categories list. I'll gather all of those strings. So no matter what the user typed in, if 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 the string is common with another category that an expense or has or whatnot, then it'll be filtered into this addition or summation here. So let's say that they add a category, right, of test category. Well, then they have the option when they generate the expense to apply that expense under that category, right? So I'll do that here. Let's add a category, test cat. Boom, there it is. There's our test category, right? So then I go settings menu, main menu. Let's go expenses, add expense, today's date. Okay, obviously I have some bugs here because I changed some function names. I need to go back through and polish some stuff up. I changed some names on stuff, right? But then they'll be able to go back through, generate the expense, say, okay, this is associated under this category, and then it'll populate right here the category. So then if I reload the program, you'll see here that test category will now appear as another sorting category within this further breakdown. There it is. So it's pretty cool. It'll make a category for I like trains. Yes, exactly. You do it so you get big Roman. What? Fours and nines. So four I or X or C. For nines, VIV, XLX, DCD. And you replace fours with VI. So you want me to manually write in, like if you come across a 4 on the string, on the number, you put in VI. Right? The value starts with a 4 or 9. So if, right, this is my 4 or 9 here. I need to do something here. Yeah, so that was it for the Small Business Manager for today. I will probably, I'm not sure I keep saying this, but hopefully if I'm feeling up to it, I might come in and do a late night after hours session where I'll continue working on some of these features and bugs and polishing it up. I'd say we have about maybe 10 to 15 more hours of work, and then the project is potentially done from there. So, right, we're really polishing up the last little bit of features and statistic tracking, and then it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and exit here, and let's go ahead and push this. Debug net gross net revenue. Okay, there it goes. All right, I'll stream for about another 10 minutes, you guys, and then I'll potentially come back for an after-hour session tonight to continue on. I'm sick today. I've for some reason I seem to be getting worse rather than better. Maybe I'm just coming on the back end of it, but I'm really congested. If you guys can hear, I've been blowing my nose and sneezing and coughing all stream. So I definitely want to get better here. Give us the repo. Our code. Our code. Yes, I'll give you the. I'll push it when I finish these features. I want to just get it polished up, kind of solo, and then when we can, I think we can. I want to collaborate with you guys on the final project, like the front full stack one. I think would be fun. Yes. Does your code work to give long Roman? I'm not sure. Is this the long Roman of this one? So this gives me 1,000. This gives me 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Right. L, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. But I'm not getting the 4. Right, because it's not doing it here. So do I need to basically do another one of these loops again? Right? On the 4 itself? So on this one, we have 1,000, we have 3,000, 500, 600, 700, 710, 3,710, 20, 30, 40, 45. Yeah, so I'm not really sure where to go from here. So you have to do something here on the whole with the whole numbers of 40, 90, 400, etc. Right? So you convert the number to a string. If the number index 0 is 4 or 9, then we're going to convert it back to an integer, take the remainder, and now you're left with a whole value of 40, 90, 400, or 900 for number. Don't do the in4 or 9-1, do normal. Just modulo by keys and fix it. Okay, so I'll just comment out this then. So this will give me same answers pretty much. So 3,000, 500, 600, 700, 710, 20, 30, 40, 45. Right. That's what we currently have so far. So I have this one, this little if statement was solving this case 2 here. I'll say less than 5 because we don't want to do it on 5. so now we have a little bit better here. XX. 3,000, 500, 600, 700, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so now we're getting all of those. So now this is the long form. So now we need to say, we need to evaluate this. So if the values start with 4 or 9, use the subtractive form representing one symbol subtracted from the following symbols. For example, 4 is 1, I less than 5, V, IV. Check case 3. So we get 1,000, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 950, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1. So why is it adding? 1,000, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 950, 60, 70, 80, 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're getting a remainder of 8. Right. I add it twice for some reason. Oh, because it still can be divided by a key. I'm going to add a break statement there. There you go. There you go. It was still being evaluated at this elif because there was no break here in this for loop, and so it was still being acceptable on that divided by 1, so that's why it was doing the doubling. So then what if I just get rid of that altogether? Yeah, so I still need that. Right. Right, eclipse, exactly. Alright, so right now we got the long form. So if we have a value that's 4 or 9, we need to identify the magnitude, the closest magnitude. So if it's 40, so we're given, so in 1994, in this example here, the 1,000 goes, the 994 goes, the 94 goes, and then the 4 goes. So the 994, I strip off into 900. I find the nearest key. So I have to get a value that's higher, get the first value that's higher than so I need to get the first value. I need a loop again, basically. Okay, so if the number is divisible by key, remainder equals this. Right. So we'll say whole num, we'll say whole, no, so it is a whole number, we'll say, this is going to be, what is it, whole base number equals to num floor key, and we put base number here, just for simplicity's sake. And so we have base num now, which in this case is going to be like the 900, right? Or the 90, or the 4 flat. So if base num do while we have 3, 4, or x. So we say if number is divisible by the key. You want me to put this where? See, this isn't really helping me though, Mohan. This is kind of like what I was talking about yesterday. It's like you just kind of, yeah, I might not know the tool, but you kind of just telling me it doesn't really, it just informs me of it. I'm not learning the process. Hey Tim, this is integer to Roman. So you're basically wanting to loop over the string again. And find all points that have XXX, I. Yeah, this one's a medium, Tim. Oh, my nose is wrecked here. So how can I... If the number is... So what about if the number is 9 or 4? Then can I find the difference between a value, the first occurrence, that is greater like, can I say let's say I have 900. Well, I know I need to separate it by a M and a C. Well, I just need to take the difference. I need to get the value, the first occurrence in my my first key that is greater than starting from the bottom though. Like I need to get the first key not looping over it, but kind of. It's not O but square though, it's O2, you know. Right, because I was thinking like can we not just find the first occurrence in the hash map where the base number, which is going to be starting with a 4 or 9, that is like 400, 900, 40, 90. Can we find the first occurrence that is greater, take that value, use a get, take that, and then subtract it from it, find a difference, find that, and then put the difference and the one that's greater together, and that's the key. That's the Roman numeral, right? So Mahan said, do while we have 3. So you want me to take 4 slices? You want me to go through my thing and take slices of 4? So we have to say, like, while we say for I in range of n is equal to the length of the number, right? For I in the range, or this would be the string, sorry. For I in the range of n, we want to be -5, right? We want to take slices of 4. Right? For I in the range of n -5, that'll go, yeah. Stir slice, or is equal to the string s with a slice of 4. If stir slice in, you wanted to do this. See, well, XXX CCC or III. XXX quote CCCC or quote III, right? So we'll go options is equal to this set or tuple of these. If stir slice in options, or conversions equals to quote, and the conversions are replace triple I's with, or quad I's with IV. Place triple C's with CD, and place triple quad X's with XL. If stir slice in options, then index is equal to options dot Is it index? On quote stir slice, and then So if it's in options, we have an index. We gather an index of the ones to convert to, and then stir slice is equal to conversions dot index, or index, and then we say how can we do this in place though? I'm not sure how to do it in place though. I get their string methods, dude. But I want to be able to know what's going on underneath the method myself too. How does Python's stir replace work under the hood? Python's stir replace method creates a new string by replacing currencies of substring with a new substring. Python entries are immutable. Stir replace does not modify the original string. Instead, it creates a new string with enough memory allocated to hold the modified content. Python scans the original string for the target substring. When it finds a match, it copies the part of the string before the match into the new string. It then appends the replacement substring. When it finds a match, it copies the part of the substring. It copies part of the string before. If the target substring isn't found, Python. Interesting. Yo, what's up, Tim? It turns out Roman numerals are harder than I thought. So we're taking slices of 4. Finding these options, conversions. I want its input on my attempt here. I am trying to do something similar without the use of the built-in method. Don't show me code, but how could I go about doing so given my current approach? You're on the right track, but manual handling string slicing and searching. By handling string slicing and searching, to mimic stir.replace behavior without the built-in method, you could approach it like this. Initialize an empty string result. Scan the string manually. Loop. Using a loop, check each possible starting position of the string. Check for a match. Compare a slice of the string at each position to the substrings you want to replace. Handle replacement. If a match is found, append the corresponding replacement to the resulting string. Okay, so then we should go one step at a time, adding characters to them if they, but checking the, if you hit an X, a C, or an I, you take a slice of 4 from there, right? So for I in the range of N, stir slice, if stir index I in this, right? If stir index I is in this, then we're going to slice 4 forward from there, right? We'll say new s is equal to an empty string. If it's not equal to one of those, we're going to go so I think we should use a while loop then, actually. Come from 0 to I. So let's do a while loop and say while I is less than N. Let's set I equal to 0 out front. We'll say if s index I in this starts with an M, a C, or a I, then we're going to take a stir slice is equal to s slice 4 from there. We're gonna try to do this, except if you get a value error, index error. We're going to break. No. Just okay. So while I is less than N, if the current character we're on is one of these, then we're going to take a slice, right? So if you get the slice, I need to put something here. Put something here. So if you get the slice, if stir slice, oh, I need my options and my shoot. I shouldn't have deleted all that. Ah, no. Come on. Dang it. There we go. So, right, so I is equal to 0 while I is less than N, right? while I is less than n, if the current character we're on is in this tuple, then stir.replace, then we're going to create a slice from there. So while I is less than n minus 4. Or 5, actually. No, because we still want to check those other values. So, and I is less than n minus 5. Then we're going to take a stir slice from there. Options, conversions. If stir slice is in options, index is equal to the options, stir slice conversion on that index. So that's the stir slice is now are converted. And we're going to go new s plus equals to stir slice. Else new s is equal to plus equals to plus equals to s index I. So we want to skip over 4, increase by 4. Right, this one would be I plus equal 1. So if this current character we're on in our long form is x, c, or I, and the current index we're on is less than n minus 5, we can create a string slice. We have a list of options and conversions. If stir slice is in options, the 4 slice we took, the 4 length slice we took, then index I to 4. And then we increase it by 4 to skip over. I'm not sure. Let's do this. Right. Then we have return new string, return new s. Okay. Let's try that. Still past there. So I got the quad. So it didn't do that. Mahan, it's really not that big a deal, my guy. It's just for fun. I'm learning here. So I got no test on this at the end of the day. No one's coming for me. Okay. So let me take this and see what it says. Okay, so I modified my approach to mimic the stir replace function, and I want your opinion. It isn't working quite right, so let me know where I could be wrong. Don't show me code. All right. Hey AJ, how's it going, dude? We fixed that bug on the small business manager. So we it was fun to work on it, right? So we were able to accurately get the annual net revenue now to be showing negatives, which is really awesome. Thanks for stopping back in, AJ. How's your Saturday going? I'll stream for 5 more minutes, you guys. It looks like you're trying to replicate stir replace like function by converting a certain pattern into a string. Here's a slicing from index to index 4, but you may to I plus 4. That's right. Okay, so I want to be on the current I plus 4. Right, to get the 4-character string, substring. Seems too restricted, but since you only need a 4-character, it should be I to avoid out of bounds to less than n minus 3. Oh, n minus 3? I can be not up to n minus 3. To avoid out of bounds and slicing forest characters directly. If you place a substring with a shorter substring like x, else block it. If the pattern isn't found, makes sense. However, if partial matches are possible, handle that. So we're getting 1,500, 600. Oh boy. Interesting. So do I want to increase I by 3? No, so I is currently on 0. I don't want to go. So I have to add I by 4, else increase I by 1. If stir select in options, we're going to increase it by 4. Else, if it's not in options, we need to do this too, right? Okay, closer now. So we're getting the IVs appropriately. Okay, so let me take what I got here so far. Okay, here are some updates. This is looking better. The slice and bounds are not correct. A couple things that might overlapping patterns. If the input string has a pattern that partially overlap, you might want to skip over them by advancing I by 4. For example, quad x, 5 x's would miss the second x after converting 5 x's in a row would miss the second x after converting 4 x's to xl. You're handling the case where the substring isn't found by just adding I. What part of the match appears? What do you mean regarding part of the match? Why, if part of the match is found, I just want to add the current S index I to the new string. If you're okay with adding S index I when a partial match occurs, that part is fine. What I meant more about situations where the beginning of the pattern is present but not the whole thing. If you're intentionally treating that as a non-match and just appending the current character, you're good there. In the case, the main issue is probably the potential for skipping overlapping patterns when you do I plus is equal to 4. So if I get a pattern, I want to skip the pattern so it is essentially replaced. Got it. If you want to replace the match pattern, skip over it, then advancing after the match makes perfect sense. Ensures that the jump over the pattern you just replaced. With this approach, there shouldn't be any issues as long as you're handling the replacement patterns properly and skipping past them. Pattern. If you don't ever inadvertently prevent a longer pattern treating, it's a non-match. If XXXXI is there, you wouldn't want to replace the quad x's. I do want to break the quad x out and replace them and jump forward to the I. If you want to break out of the quad x's and replace them while ensuring you jump to the however, whatever falls upon your approach should work as long as you're careful how you handle the indexes and replacements. Respectively, you skip over the replaced patterns if you want to jump to the replaced substring, which is jump to I. Interesting, okay. All right. Heading to bed, but it was good. How was your Saturday? What else have you done today? Is something you've learned? What's something you haven't done today? What else have you done today? What's something you've learned? Honestly, I slept a lot today. Went to the farmer's market, got some yogurt, and then just went back to bed. Now it's the next rule with 9s. VIV, XLX, CDC, copy paste your code into it's a new rule. Oh, got you. Sweet. Nice. So we did this, we got this right. So what I can do here is I'll go like this. We'll go like this. We'll go def, check, condense, 1, takes in self, and takes in some S. call condense 1 on the string, self dot condense 1 on the string that returns a value back to us. So S is equal to this. So now we need a def condense 2 for self, which takes in some string. So we'll go S equals self dot condense 2 and some string S, and then return S at the end here. Okay, so let's go ahead and see here now. We want to handle let him lock in, let him cook. Okay, so now we need to handle the cases of VIV to X to IX, XLX to XC, and DCD to CM. What about with 4s? Is this doing... Missing Ivy on this. Okay. VIV is 9, but 9 is IX. Okay, got you. So now we're handling the 9. So the 4 was handled in here for this guy here. Okay, so now we have to do this. So basically copy all this into here, and then instead of these conditions here, we say if the current character we're on is so now we're doing slices of 3. So why does that have to be I is less than n minus 3? Like if n is 5, the minimum you can take a slice is on 1. So n minus 3 is 2, which would be the third. Or its y is less than, not equal to. So it would be less than or equal to n minus 4. Right. You could still do it. In condensed 1, I mean. Sorry. I like that better. It's a little bit easier to understand. That 3 was tripping me up. So then now in this one, in condensed 2, this is less than or equal to 3. The starting character has to be V, X, or D. So if it's V, X, or D, in this, then we're going to take a stir slice of 3, and the options are VIV. The next option is XLX, and the next option is DCD, and the conversions are IX, XC, and CM. And then we skip forward 3 characters by 1 and do that, return new string. So what happens now? Okay, we passed that guy. One step closer now. I mistyped. XLX. Oh, sorry. LXX. LXL. Right, which is 50, 10. So 110 is changed to 10. Or 110. Okay, got you. 110. Gotta run that. Okay, we still pass both of those. LXL gets changed to XC. XLL, LXL, XC. Huh. Oh, I'm sorry. L right here. Right, start with L. Yo, nice! Alright, let's submit it. No, what? So, on this one, on a number of 5, we don't get V. Let me add the case. On number 5, that fails. V. The number is 5. Oh, shoot. So if I put an equal here, I still don't think I'll pass. Right, I still don't, I can't do that. Right. Shoot. Shoot. So we just need an edge case then. For if the length of the number is 1, n is equal to the length of number. If n is equal to 1, we're going to go right, if n is equal to 1, the length, we're going to just go ahead and get the value. So s plus equals to map index num right, and return that. That should pass. Ooh. Is less than 10. Num is less than 10. Okay. Dang it. Oh. Crap. Should I call condense on these? Right? Problem is whenever you have a number divisible, so 5, 10, 50, blah, blah, gives you 0. That's why last night I told you if you can get it. So if the number is less than 10, we're going to call the condense. No, because that'll never happen because you can't take the slices. That's the whole point of those. If the number is less than 10 and so if it's just 4, I'm not sure what you mean, Mahan. 5 modulo 5 is 0, yeah. That's why you don't print V, because your else won't get evaluated to true. What? So, if number is less than 10, line 21. My elif. The number is less than 5. Five modulo 5 is 0. Don't even enter the if statement. Right. Five modulo 5 is 0, so you should add map index 5. Elif if number divided by that key, you gather the remainder, which is 0. You add to the string so if it's 5, it should still enter because it's not less than, it's less than 5. So if I did a test case of 5, I still get V, but 4 should be IV. So it's just for the 4 now and the 9. If number is equal to less than 10, so I'll say if number I'm not really sure where to go from here. I'm talking about your previous solution. This is your manually handled thing. This down here. Good at your last solution. Look at your chat. Last solution. What are you talking about? Solution. You gotta use better words here. You're talking through chat, so you need to be pretty descriptive. It's pretty hard to interpret. My last function here. Wait, let me look at these. My submissions. Okay, so if number is less than 10, if number equals to 9, S plus equals quote IX, if number is equal to 4, S plus equals to quote IV, else do this. So if number is 2 now, we're supposed to get II. So I guess I could make that another elif, but it's kind of probably defeats the purpose. Right. If the number is less than 4, S plus equals to I times num. I mean, that'll solve that probably for 6. Oh no. So the 6 should be VI. What's the output here? Oh, it's trying to do that. Oh, okay, so I need to add this basically here. Do if number of over 2 equals 0. If number modulo key is equal to 0, then you add map key star division. So this is not the right approach here. Well, I've got to call it here, you guys. I'm getting tired. I've been streaming for over 3 hours and 20 minutes so far. We did good work on the small business manager, fixed some bugs on there, and one step closer to being done with that. And then moving on to a 2.0 version for completing the CS50X 2025 final project. So if the number modulo by the key is equal to 0, meaning that you don't have a remainder. So elif number, if you can be divided by here, if number modulo key is equal to 0 at this point in time, if it's equal to 0, then you just add in say number is less than 10 or something. You don't print, sorry for you. Division equals number key. Number to module key is 0. If modulo key equals 0. You said like a quadrillion things, dude, so you can't expect me to deduce your chats. You're spamming. I can't keep track of all that. Alright, I'm gonna call it here. We'll solve the rest of it later. We're pretty close to solving this one. I'm tired. I'm sick. I'm ready to just veg out. Number of the modulo key is equal to 0 instead of if. Just do that? What do you mean? Oh yeah, well yeah, I mean it's true. So I get what you're saying, yeah. Line 14. Oh, you're saying there? So if number modulo key is equal to 0 here, and you do map times the current number, that work, not that one. So we got 4 plus the B. S plus equals map index 1 times number. Oh, is this map index num? No, because if you have map index 1, number. Map to that key. Just me. That'll map to 10. So now that fixed that. Times the number divided by the key. So do we want to break there? Alright, I'm done. We'll come back to this later. Alright, I'll see you guys later. We'll solve this one a little next time. We streamed for 3.5 hours today. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll let you guys know in the Discord what time I decide to come back for a stream tomorrow, depending on how I'm feeling for the, my sinuses clear up here. But I really appreciate you guys joining me here. We struggled through this Leet code problem for the past, hour and a half or so. And then we did about 2 hours of debugging on our small business manager project, where we were able to implement the annual net revenue -555 to accurately be able to have and track the net revenue across our transactions. So super cool. All right, I was on line 14. Yeah, exactly. We're still on it. Like, what are you talking about, bro? You gotta chill, man. You're too involved in it. It's just for fun. So map key is equal to 0. Map index. So if the number we're currently on is like 4, we don't want it, we can't give that one. Yeah, I'm not even sure really what's going on anymore. See,